Have you ever thought about a country's constitution as its source code? I mean, it's the fundamental programming that dictates how everything else is supposed to run. But what happens when that foundational code is just full of bugs?
Right? If the core operating system is flawed, everything, and I mean everything built on top of it, starts to get unstable. And this creates a huge paradox. How in the world do you fix a broken system when the system itself is what's preventing you from fixing it? Well, if we start thinking about these political problems like they're technical bugs, things get a lot clearer. You know, you've got rigid, outdated code. These are laws that just don't match our modern reality anymore. The whole debugging process, it's totally politicized. Fixes end up serving political parties, not the people. Then you have review processes that are captured by the exact special interest they're supposed to be regulating. And maybe the biggest bug of all, there are almost never any independent outside audits to just check on the system's health. It's a massive structural conflict of interest.
So to deal with these kinds of deep-seated bugs, a pretty wild new architecture has been proposed. It's a radical idea, and it's called TheCrackChain.
Okay, so what is the TheCrackChain? At its core, it's a global system of decentralized expert groups, or nodes, that are set up to review constitutions. Now, I know what you're thinking. Blockchain, but this has nothing to do with cryptocurrency. It's about taking those core principles of blockchain, transparency, decentralization, and accountability, and applying them directly to the architecture of how we govern ourselves.
And this is maybe the most important thing to get your head around. It's what the system is versus what it is not. It is not a court that passes judgment. It's a technical mechanism. It's a design lab. Think of it more like structural engineering for a country's legal code, not some political committee having a debate. That neutrality is absolutely crucial.
So you're probably wondering, how would something like this actually work in the real world? Well, the main function is something called a constitutional audit. The whole process is designed to be really direct and competitive. First, a country decides it needs a checkup and opens up a global bid. Simple enough? Then, these expert nodes, which are basically pre-vetted teams of specialists in law, economics, systems design, you name it, they all submit technical proposals. The best, most qualified multidisciplinary team gets selected based on merit, not on politics, and finally, they deliver a complete structural analysis back to the state that hired them. That's it.
And this distinction right here is so important. A traditional court, what does it do? It delivers judgments, accusations, sanctions. It's inherently adversarial. Someone wins, someone loses. The TheCrackChain, on the other hand, delivers technical analyses and coherence diagnostics. It's about suggesting improvements, not imposing penalties. It offers ways to resolve messy interpretive problems, all without that direct confrontation. It's about making a system better, not about winning an argument.
Okay, so what would the real-world impact of a system like this actually be? Let's zoom out a bit and take a look at the bigger picture, the scope, and the potential risks.
What's so fascinating is just how scalable this idea is. It's not just for struggling countries. You could have well-established democracies use it for a kind of objective, routine checkup. States that are in the middle of a major transition could use it to build much stronger foundations from the start. But it even goes beyond traditional nations. It could be a tool for new digital microstates or even for DAOs, those decentralized autonomous organizations, which are basically online communities governed by code. They need a way to audit their own rules too.
The ultimate goal here, the big prize, is to introduce this concept of constitutional due diligence. I mean, think about it. A company audits its finances all the time to make sure things are healthy. So why shouldn't the state be able to audit its own foundational legal structure? The result you'd hope for? More coherent constitutions, fewer legal battles, and way more institutional stability, which is something we desperately need as we adapt to this crazy digital age. Of course, an idea this big and this disruptive comes with some pretty serious questions. A system that has the power to analyze a nation's core code is obviously a huge target. So could it be captured by global elites or by special interests? It's a fair question.
Well, the design actually anticipates these exact risks with some built-in safeguards. To stop it from being captured, you need total transparency about who these expert nodes are. To fight back against the idea that it's foreign intervention, all of the methods have to be published openly for everyone to see. And to build trust, you got to have crystal clear contracts and independent public audits of the whole shebang. Honestly, without these guarantees, the model just doesn't work.
So, when you put it all together, what's the final vision here? It's really about completely reframing how we approach one of the most fundamental challenges that we face as a society.
This quote just gets right to the heart of it. The idea is to stop treating constitutions like they're these sacred, unchangeable texts or, just political battlegrounds. Instead, we treat them as complex systems that can be analyzed, debugged, and improved using rigorous engineering principles.
This really is a paradigm shift. It's all about moving away from a model of constant conflict to a model of objective analysis.
It means finding solutions and bringing clarity without having to point fingers or declare that there's a winner and a loser.
And finally, and this is so important, it's about respecting sovereignty. The system gives you the tools, it gives you the analysis, but the final call, that always stays with the people who asked for the review in the first place. It's a system that empowers, it doesn't command.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. Our entire world runs on incredibly complex code. In our technology, in our financial systems, in how we communicate. So the question that the TheCrackChain really forces us to ask is a profound one. Isn't it time that our most fundamental human code, our laws and our constitutions, were finally built on an architecture that's just as sophisticated,